Hi, Robert. I've got just enough time before I go to my workout this morning to do this video with you. So I've got my workout clothes on and I'm ready to go. But I've got about an hour. Let's see. This could take several sessions, and I don't know whether or not I'm going to get it all in here because I want to talk generically still, but I also want to nail some things down for you. You come to me and you want a lot of things nailed down, and there are a lot of people out there that can nail these things down for you really well, including me. However, I'd like to start off by saying that, in my personal opinion, I look down at others that take advantage of a situation like this when a person wants these things. You can literally, I've printed out your letter here, I could literally spend the rest of my life dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's in a curriculum for you. And convincing you that I have a magic formula that's going to be just right. And so many people that are dishonorable do that and make livings off of it. I think that's wrong. I would rather not be paid. I would rather not be your friend. I would rather not be a professional. I would rather not do this with my life purpose than to do that. So I'm going to try to keep you happy by nailing down certain things as we go along, just long enough for you to feel like you're making some progress with the actual ins and outs of the facade. But we've got to continue to work on the rest of it. And this is why. If you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. But if you teach a man to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. Now, everybody's heard that. Do we ponder on it? Do we really know what it means? I think you know. I think before I even say anything to you, you know everything I'm going to say. But you can't get your hands around a lot of it, like the higher purpose things, the greater sense of being, the things outside of ourselves. So there are some inclinations to understand things that you're missing. But let's start off with this one, because so few can miss this. Give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish and he'll eat for a lifetime. If I were anything less, what I would offer you is the fish. I would continue to offer you the fish. Many churches offer their parishioners fish. This is not the way that things should be in the world. This is a dishonorable way to treat another human being. This is not showing compassion for another person. This is a way to string someone along. I can't live that way. I won't be that way. And if I talk to you about anything that's really hitting the nail on the head, you can rest assured that it's coming from a greater sense of being, not giving you what you're asking for. Even though I'm going to, I believe, ultimately give you what you ask for. But we will see. I will try to stay on with these actual concerns you have. You're well organized. You know what your actual concerns are. You know the questions, and I believe you know the answers, but you're lacking initiative to put them into practice. And the reason for that is, I believe the very first foundational thing is that you are lacking an ability to get your hands around and understand the meaning and the reason and the power of higher purpose. Because when you find out in your own mind's eye what higher purpose is, all the other things will come. Now, let's see. Where shall we start? All right. Balance. Balance is so important. Even as a child, when we cry over a broken cookie or spilt milk, we're out of balance. Well, many people today are out of balance still. Even as adults, they have not become masters of their own destiny. They are literally a product of their environment rather than their own composure of their soul and their guidance of their own self as a master. We have juveniles. We have kindergartners running around everywhere. Everywhere you go down the street right now in New York, and you're going to see a bunch of kindergartners running around. Now, science fiction movies and things like that and books will make you think we're living in the modern progress age where everything is so advanced, but it's primitive. We are still like a tribe. All you need to do is go on Facebook to see the tribal mentality that so many people have. We studied sociological readings in college, and that was like 20-something, 25, 26 years ago or so. And I've been observing the tribal instincts of mankind ever since. Nobody's getting more progressive towards enlightenment or greater knowledge or a greater sense of purpose. Nobody's becoming their own master. They are literally subscribing to the caveman tribal philosophy that we've had through the eons. It's amazing. Once you can come to study this and see it and observe it, you'll be able to teach yourself so much. And what's more important than teaching yourself so much is by gaining this perspective, you'll make sure you're not of that. Once you're not of that, oh my gosh, the sky's the limit. 25 years ago, when I had finished with art school, I said to myself, what can I do to get myself focused? One of the things you need to become a master is to gain focus. Maybe even before you gain a higher purpose, gaining focus. One of the very first steps I ever did before I totally saw the higher purpose and understood it was to gain a focus. One of the things that I did, now I know you said here in your letter, I don't want to do too many things all at once, it'll be too stressful for you, and it'll make it so that you don't want to do it, and then you won't get it done. And this might, what I'm about to say might be too much already, but I'm going to start off with it because I did it personally. I'm going to give you a lot of references to my own personal choices because I can stand for what I say. One of the things I did 25 years ago when I wanted to get a portfolio together, I had completed art school, I needed to start off in my life. As I looked around, I said to myself, what is holding me back? What is wasting my time? And one of the things was television. There's several things about television that are important to realize, but let's just start off by the cold turkey approach. I gave up television 25 years ago. That's huge. I gave up television 25 years ago. I don't watch the nightly news. I don't watch Good Morning America. I don't watch anything that's been created in Hollywood that's a part of like a serial or something like that. I gave up all of that. If I do watch a program on television, first off, I don't have cable. I couldn't watch television even if I wanted to. If I watched a program on television, it would be the program, whatever that is. Now, you might say, well, that was on television at one point, so that you're watching television. Well, maybe so, but what I'm saying is, I watch the program for the content that it is. Television no longer has control over my daily life. Now, there's two major things about that that are really, really good. Number one, you don't waste the time not being attentive to what you're actually doing with your mind during that time. You don't waste the time. By not wasting the time and not thinking about what your mind needs to be thinking about, you can do other things. With those other things, you can find productivity. But productivity, like I said the other day, in itself is not a valued asset. You have to know what you want and why, so that the productivity can be focused towards going what you want. But if what you want is not worthy of wanting, you'll still fail even if you get all that right. Let me just give an example today of my son. I had a computer problem this morning, and I had to defrag the hard drive and run it through some programs. And so my son goes to school late. And one of the things he likes to do in the morning, since he works so hard on his music and his homework and things the night before, and athletic things that he does, is use the morning to do video games before he goes to school. Well, today he couldn't do video games. That saddened him. I said, well, that's just the way it is. We got to do the computer. The computer has to be working properly, so today you're not going to be doing computer games. Well, I'm defragmenting the hard drive. I go down and see what he's doing. Lo and behold, he's composing music. Now, that's great that he's composing music. But I said to him on the way to school, I said, if that computer was working properly today, you would have played video games and not composed the music. You're not going to benefit yourself. Now, there are some beneficial things in playing video games. But balance and focus and understanding of a greater purpose is going to harness all those things in a way that you can use them properly. If you're the master and you understand the balance and purpose and the greater meaning and the greater thing behind all the rest of the trivial facade things, you can be the master and you can make them all work for you. But my son promptly replied, yes, but if the computer was working, I still would have used the computer instead. I said, Max, you're going to pay for that. I said, you are going to pay for that attitude until you can overcome it. Because you are going to run away from gains that you would have had and run towards self-gratifications instead. And as long as you do that, you'll feel like you're going somewhere because you'll gain the self-gratification, but the true gain won't be there for you. You're deeply immersed in this because you have not gained the ability to see the greater purpose, the outlying things that lie beneath all the other things in your life. You see your life as a combination of factors of 1 through 15, or however many other ways you would have broken it down. You see your life and what you'd like to gain by getting those factors in order in a special magical way. As long as you think that there's a way that you or any other person can manage those factors and come up with a winning combination, you're losing the battle. Now, I'm not saying they can't be managed. I'm not saying they can't help you gain. I'm not saying they're not going to bring you happiness and some sense of satisfaction. But in and of themselves, they won't. So that's why I'm taking you to these other areas as well. Ultimate purpose. Why is it so hard to find ultimate purpose? Why is it so hard to juggle all these things and make them mean something without the ultimate purpose? Well, because, like I said the other day in one of the other videos, we're living like kings. Our life is just too large. We literally can have anything we need. We can't have everything we want, but we can have anything we need. Just like that Rolling Stones, I think it was a Rolling Stones song, said, if you try sometimes, you can get what you need. Was it them? You can't always get what you want, but if you try, you can get what you need. Well, you tried by reaching out your hand to me, and I want you to have some of these things that you want. I want them to work in your life, but I want you to get what you need. And what you need is an understanding of larger purpose. You need to understand that life is so large, your life and all the different things are so large, you can't juggle them effectively. That's where the stress is coming from. That's where your inefficiency is coming from. An ant can do one large job. He can pick up one large item and be dedicated to getting it all the way where he needs to get it. Way more weight compared to his body weight can he pick up than we can. But if you try to get him to multitask, if you try to get him to pick up a number of those things and try to do better, he'll fail. He has to commit his ultimate purpose to picking up that one large thing and taking it all the way where it needs to be and finalizing that before he does another thing. So one of the first things in juggling your affairs is you have to be committed to each small little bite-sized piece until it's done. Just for an instance, if you want to unpack a box and you want to make every item in that box mean something where it goes, you have to first assign what meaning it has. Why does it have that meaning? You have to look into your life. Did the meaning that you originally assigned to it really have the merit that you thought it had at the time you assigned it? Do you have to reevaluate the meaning of each item in that box right now? Do you have to not go all the way back to the higher purpose thing first to reevaluate the meaning of not only that thing, but every single thing else in your life? Yes, you do. You have to go all the way back to the beginning for every single thing. So unpacking a box can be an art form. You have to literally become a greater person, a greater master of all understanding and comprehension and greater meaning to even lift open the box and say, I am going to commit to putting this box away properly. It's not something you can do while you're listening to some music or watching TV and not think about it. Every item in that box came into your life for a reason. It may have been a trivial reason, it may have been an important reason, whatever. You have got to analyze every single thing in that box and deal with it. You have got to break it up into a bite-sized piece. You can't take the whole box, perhaps, and in one day put it away or organize it, because it may take you a while to figure out, depending on how many hundreds of pieces are in there, what each piece symbolizes, what each piece means, whether it needs to be a definitive thing in your life that's adding power to you, or whether it needs to be something thrown out, or whether it needs to be something that's looked at in a whole new way you never looked at it before, or whether it's tying you down to some of the things that are making you have the lacks and continue to run the vicious circles, or whether one of the things that you haven't explored and understood yet fully, you need to hang on to it, you need to put it in a place where you can think about it more, or whether it's helping you to gain some prosperity. Is it something one day you may sell, or by having it you're better off, or is it something that's taking up space that you have to clean, you have to take care of, and that if you don't take care of it right, it's going to deteriorate? You have to ask yourself, what is your life purpose first, so that you can answer all these other things. You have to ask yourself what you want, so that you can answer all these other things. You cannot put this list in order without the ability to create, the ability to take each one of these things individually and work them. And know that you're working them properly. You have got to first commit to higher purpose understanding, to attainment of what you want, clear focus, so that each time you go to one of these things, the stress will dissipate of, how am I going to put these in order? How am I going to prioritize? Doesn't matter where you start. This is a non-linear process. As soon as you realize that everything is flexible and non-linear, the original stresses you had will now fade away. The new stresses you're going to have are, how do I gain the knowledge and intelligence and insights to assign priorities and understandings and greater meanings to each and every single thing in my life? How am I going to do that if I don't have the original greater meaning that started me off? You see, the stress now comes from, how can I know something that can't be known? How can I see something that can't be seen? How can I commit to something when this world is so volatile and fragile and passing away? How can I know that what I do with these things won't be leaving me just as messed up tomorrow by my new structure and my new schedule and my new application of months or years than I am today? Why step 1 foot towards this list if you can't know that ahead of time? That's going to cause you to fail. Now, another counselor might say, go for it. Do this, do this, do this. Continue to instill you with positive energy. What's going to happen when you find those other counselors are doing that, if you could look behind their facade, they're using you as a puppet. They're not treating you in love, mutual respect, and giving you what they know needs to be your source of empowerment. They're using you as a vehicle for their own use. Be very wary of anyone that would approach you like that. And I'm telling you right now, practically everyone would approach you like that, with the exception of myself. Why do I not approach you like that? Because I understand what I'm talking to you about. I already know what higher purpose is. I already know what my purpose is. I already know what life's purpose is, and I want to share it with you. Your perspective of life purpose may be different than mine, but your life purpose is not different than mine. But I don't want to get into my life purpose right now because it's too big of a bite for you to chew. You can't get your hands around your own life. Why would I share everything about my life? You're not going to emulate me. That'd be wrong. You have to make yourself your product. You have to master yourself. If you start to copy anything else, you're never going to create the Mona Lisa. The only way you're going to do that is by not copying, but understanding everything you're doing every step of the way, and then having a whole heck of a lot of luck that the world sees things the way you saw them. Or maybe you didn't even have the world see things the way you saw them. Maybe it became great because of something that they had out of their own lacks. And some masters that truly master themselves and have something to offer the world don't even get recognized. Okay? I'm very used to that. I am so not seen by the world and not heard and not understood. That very fact, to me, gives me strength. How in the world could something like that give me strength? Because I don't require anybody else. And I want to make you like that too. It's difficult, though. It is difficult. You have to be connected. No man can be an island. You have to be connected. But to what? How can you get your arms around this? Let's talk about your art for a second. Try to nail it down on some very specific things too as we go along. I'm glad that you've got something that you can do that you do like doing. You're doing the painting. You probably should show me a few examples of your paintings just so I can see when I talk in brush strokes and stuff like that. Maybe it's not even appropriate, but I want to know, when you're working those brush strokes, does the modulation of the paint and the brush and the forming of the image register most resoundingly as you go and give you the peace and the happiness? Or knowing that you're working towards the statement that your art will make, to telling someone else when they see it a positive thing that they wouldn't have had without you and your art. My screen name is Artsy1. And the reason why my screen name is Artsy1 is because I realized when I was setting up my life purpose and my understanding of all things, that there were so many people, so many artists that were around me that didn't have a sense of life purpose and just did whatever would get people's titillation going or interest going, or maybe even just like the Emperor's New Clothes, just leave them wondering what is going on. But at least everybody's looking at the stuff because they gotcha. That's artsy fartsy. Artsy. My screen name is Artsee because the only thing I learned about art in art school and through my greater meaning of greater life's purpose was how to see what art is not, so that I can see what art can be. And what art can be, the greatest use of an artist or an art piece is to take a person for all he can be, and hopefully that includes the greater meaning, or he's pretty shallow, for all he can be, and through his vision that he sees, create some tangible medium, through some tangible medium, even if it's words or ideas. And in this physical realm, create a body, an embodiment of that idea or vision in the form of a piece of artwork of some kind, or a series of artwork, and be able to hold that up through your artistic talent and abilities and communicate what you saw that no one else can see to another human being. That transference of the artistic vision to another person is the greatest meaning of what art can be. When I ask you, are you manipulating the brush strokes and the medium to create the image, or is the image also making a statement? I hope you can say that while you're working along, you're not just enjoying the process for the process itself. There'll be art for art's sake. And art for art's sake is okay, because art for art's sake can lead to other things. There's nothing wrong with that. But ultimately, the ultimate purpose of an individual is to take everything they are, become everything they can be, and transfer it through a workable medium to show it to others so that they counted for everything they could be in this world, and that the rest of the people, if they had wanted to, could have gained from that person's life force. You can't be all you can be unless you find ways to make the statement of what you've gained through your mastery of all things, so that others who are suffering in pain and don't have what you'd gained have a chance to also gain. But not gain only what you've given, what you've shown, but you can turn them on and they can gain whatever they choose to. That is what the world needs. That is what you need. And in order to become what you need, you must become what the world needs. This is one of the ways we can gain the understanding of greater purpose. I asked you what you want. You have to ask yourself why you want it. You have to ask yourself if it's worthy of being wanted. This is how you can gain what the world needs, through yourself. And then your art and your expression and your energy and your motivation will be through love to transfer back to the world what you've gained. That is the life purpose. That is the greatest, highest attainment of what an individual can come to. Anything less than that is egotistical, titillating, self-gratifying. Anything you can think of that you think is great is always less. Why is there pleasure then? Why is there pleasure? Why do our bodies respond to sensibility things? That is one of our handicaps. The fatigue keeps us from going where we want to go. Our mind, as I explained in another video, continues to provide us with excuses how we can just run towards the titillation things, just run towards the self-gratification things. And if we stay on that treadmill for the rest of our life successfully enough and keep ourselves happy enough, we will be able to, if you get what you want right now, and I do what you say, and you become satisfied enough, what will you have ultimately accomplished? You will have gone through your life with blinders on, accomplished nothing about what I'm talking about right now, about a higher purpose, but you will have gotten through to your death and been glad that you have made yourself happy. And that will have been all you've achieved. How much of a failure is that? How much of a worthless life is that? Who did you serve by living that life? Just your fleshly form. Just your physical pleasure. This is why you're bored. This is why your life is hollow. This is why you can't get these things to add up to any possible combination that is favorable. Because you haven't got the greater life purpose. You're not going to gain the satisfaction. You're not going to live for the fullness of what you were meant to do until you can gain that. So does your art have a statement? Your whole life is your art. You need to see that your whole life is your art, not your painting. I hope you already do. So few people will get this right. These higher level concepts I'm sharing with you, this higher level learning, so few people will ever come to see it. So few people even bother to look. Fewer still will ever try. Fewer still will ever succeed. Few will get it right. You have to start there. This is the underlying structure behind every single thing else that you want to come into place. What's going to happen when you get this underlying structure? Not only will you get a better order for all these other things, but the things will instantly it depends on how fast you are. They'll metamorphosize. The list of the things will metamorphosize, as well as being mastered into their positions and their time constraints and whatever they need to be. They'll metamorphosize. The things you actually want will probably metamorphosize. If you were on right now, they wouldn't metamorphosize. You'd be happy. Everything would be fine. You wouldn't even be concerned. They will metamorphosize because they are not enough. They are not on. So they will metamorphosize. Everyone is seeking combinations as if some magical combination will make them what they need to be. Diet plans. Good. I said that the other day. Diet plans is a great example. Nobody seems to get a control of it themselves and change their lifestyle and make themselves what they want to be. So somebody comes and gives a magical combination. Snake oil salesmen, you've heard about them, the Wild West and whatnot. They prey on people's need to feel that someone else has got a magic pill. Society is that way today. Nobody has the discipline to truly become the master and take charge of their own life. You have to have that. That has to be first to make all these other things work. No one has the discipline because no one has the focus. And no one has the focus because no one understands the higher purpose. The master realizes that he's a constant project. In this constant project, he's constantly realizing and re-realizing his greatest ultimate purpose. He's constantly metamorphosizing himself to continue to be shaped and sculpted and formed and have his consciousness lifted so that he can become the greater everyday vision that he has of this higher purpose. When you wake up tomorrow, if you're working on these things, your idea or your ability to comprehend and visualize your higher purpose will be better than it is today. You're going to start a ball rolling that won't require motivation. It won't require artificial stimulation. When you start the ball rolling, every single thing, every single day will help that ball to roll. Nothing's going to stop it from rolling if you get it rolling properly. The master realizes that he's a constant project. And every day when he looks at that project and he looks at his purpose, he's going to see what I just said, that there's a greater ability to realize it than even he had the day before. And that void will take the place of his motivation. That void will be an unstoppable inspiration and motivation. That's what we need to get you to, where that's happening naturally without your initiation of it. That's where you're going to get your ultimate purpose and your inspiration from. That's going to kick all these other things into gear. And it's going to help you to prioritize, and it's going to help you to answer which one of them is important, which one is why, in what proportions is each one important. How are you going to address all these things so that when you look at something in your box, it needs to be organized. You look at something on TV that needs to be thought of in a proper way. When you look at something on internet, anything that's stimuli coming in, you can run it through the focus filter of what you've gained from your enlightenment and your conscious heightening process, so that everything that hits you doesn't hit you and bog you down, but everything that comes at you is instantly deflected, like a martial arts block, because you recognize it for what it is, and you see all its inadequacies, and you take it instantaneously, and you deflect it because you saw it for what it was, something that was not going to be beneficial for you, and you knew why. By knowing why it wasn't going to be beneficial, it allowed you to be effectively blocking. If you did not know why, if you didn't develop a greater purpose, you wouldn't know why. And many things could confuse you. Many people design things to confuse other people. And many people subconsciously confuse other people. And many things that are confusing confuse other people just because they're confusing. By having a greater sense of purpose and an understanding of all things and a higher consciousness, you will be able to sort through all the things that are confusing just by their own merit. You'll be able to sort through all the things of people that are designing things to confuse you. You'll be able to look at every single thing and everything in your life that you already possess and every new thing that comes in and simultaneously categorize and shelve them and make this list work for you, because you'll have all the answers, because you'll understand the questions and the reasons. This is what comes from the higher sense of purposeness. I don't want to get into God because it's difficult. So many people I talk to are atheists. And so many people I want to say also that I talk to have the exact same problems that you're showing me. But I got to touch on this somehow. The higher purpose is connected to the eternal. It's connected to the behind-the-scenes facade thing, okay? We don't have to say it's God. We don't have to say it's universal energy. We don't have to say anything that's going to trip you up. Try to find your own way to label it so that you don't trip up. Because if you can't get past this, you'll be stuck. And you'll forever be trying to rearrange this list or paying other people to do it for you. And you'll be stuck. But try to meditate on this. Only what is done for the eternal, for the true purpose of what you're here for. Past the mundane, past the fleshly titillation and self-satisfaction desiring and ego. Only what is done for the eternal will last or mean anything. You've got to get there. If you don't have the power or the ability to get your hands around that right now, or call it God, just call it something. But you've got to see the merit of what that means. All right, let's talk about, I think I'm just going to keep on going here. I think this video will load. If not, I'll split it up. Let's talk about the facade, some of the facade. New York is a bubble. Okay? You need go nowhere else. Man needs to go nowhere else or think of anything else. Because you can live inside New York and it will establish a miniature model of order and meaning for you. That's exactly what's happening in the larger world, but it's smaller. So now, hopefully through smaller models, you can create a sense of understanding of things. I asked you to put your list together. You nailed it down. You've got New York working for you and New York not working for you. New York is a smaller world of the greater world, a smaller model of the greater world. There's that song that says, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. Well, a lot of people think of New York as a larger model of the larger world, but no, it's still a smaller model of the larger world. But it's an intricate model. It's still an intricate model. I guess a small town somewhere out west would be a really truer, smaller model. But you've still got all the life problems and life purposes in a small town out there. What you've got is too much stimuli coming in New York. Too much right there in your own apartment even. It seems big, but it's actually small. That's one of the problems. Everybody in New York thinks that's all they need. Everybody in New York thinks all the things they have to have are right there. And they are. But there's also a lot of other crap that gets in your way. It makes your life too large. Like the ant, you can only lift one thing. You need to try to focus on lifting the one thing until you get that right. Then set it aside. Your questions and concerns have the questions and answers written all over them. Yet you don't act, or you don't act in a way that you know will work. And you have tried, and you have a good attitude. Really good positive attitude. But you still ask me. That's fine. It's always good to use all your resources, even someone you stumble upon. Why not use all your resources? Your motivation is there to know that you need to do something, and that is prime. Knowing that you want to, and you need to, and you want to, and you keep on keeping that cycle going, even though you can only get your fingers on it a little bit, and you can't totally grasp the whole thing, that's still very positive. But your answers are written all over your questions. And you just have to be able to come to see that. You have to be able to get that filtering mechanism so that you can pick those answers out and do it for yourself and give yourself the fish every single day rather than have someone else do it for you. If you gain the ability to see that, all will come. What are you trying to do? For lack of a better expression, and we go a little bit religious here again, you want to have a breakthrough. You want to see the light. The world is trapped in darkness, or lack of understanding, lack of consciousness, lack of ability to lift themselves up out of the muck. You sense, like the lotus flower, that there is more. You are halfway there, even though you don't believe in God. You are halfway there because you want that. You drive towards that. You're failing, but you know it's there, or you sense it's there. I would like to suggest to you that what you sense, try to give form to it. You don't have to call it God, like I said, but try to give form to it. When you see the light, when you have that breakthrough, when you have that mustard seed's worth of faith, and you've given a form to it that you in your own perspective can understand, you've seen the light, at that point, that's the changeover. That has to occur. When that occurs, religious people, they let's not get caught there. They call it one thing. The world calls it another thing. Some call it an epiphany. Some people call it born again. Some people call it, whatever. Let's not get caught up on names. But what will happen when you see the light and you have the breakthrough and you understand the greater purpose and you admit it to yourself and you grip it and you say, I'm going to hold on to this. What will happen is, number one, motivation will bring focused results, which help even more than you. Because now you're not living just for this shallow set of things you want. You're living for the greatest purpose that man has. And the greatest purpose that man has is connected with other men and other women and ideas and everything. Why would there be so many of us if we didn't have any correlation or relation with other people? So when your motivation starts to bring you focused results, you'll come to see that they will be helping more than you. You already said you'd help somebody with a car. You'd loan them the money. You'd help them fix it. You're already realizing the importance of those things. when you make this slight little adjustment, you're going to see, why does that mean something to you? Are you just a good person? Do you just care? You are going to sense, you're already touching with your feelers that portion of the greater purpose. You realize that those positive qualities must be in you for you to be all you have, all you can be. And you've already touched on some of these ideas. These are not new things for you. You realize them. So you're getting there. Number 2, joy. Joy will result from knowing that you overcame the apathy. So a joy of a different type. Not a joy like somebody told you a good joke. Not a joy like, man, I enjoyed that video game. Not a joy like, boy, that TV show took me away from where I was for a little while and made me feel good. Not a joy like a drugs or an alcohol thing. Not a joy like a passiveness of taking our struggles away for a short time and giving us a feeling that by having the weight of our shoulders lifted, we got a joy by having that temporary thing. Not a joy like that, but a joy that's intrinsic. You'll be joyous because you know you're on the right road. You know that you've understood the higher purpose. You know that all things in your life will now be formulated and funneled through that higher purpose. The joy will come knowing that that's happening. You will be able to understand and have a high enough conscious to understand that. And every day as your conscious grows, you'll understand it even more. That's where the joy will come from. Not the places where you think the joy are going to come from now. Those are limited, trivial things. Those should not be aimed at, because if you gain them, you'll still be stuck in a box. That's why I'm not trying to help you to gain those things that you want right now, because they'll be so limited. Satisfaction will come after the joy. You'll start to see gain. It may not be the gain you think you want to see now, but you'll see gain in peace. You'll see gain, and that will give you satisfaction, even the smallest amounts, because every bit of gain that you gain will be real. It'll have meaning. It'll go back in tandem with the greater purpose. That's a real gain. And you can take that gain to better build your structure and a correlation of all the things that you want to do and be the master and make them say the right things and do the right things for you. And you will in turn say the right things and do the right things for you. And that will give you satisfaction. Now, here's the tricky part. Sadness will once again grip you. There's no avoidance of this. Sadness will once again grip you. Because you're going to see that you're becoming ready. You're going to see you're becoming the master. You're going to see the greatest meaning of all things. You're going to be working towards that. And you will become once again saddened. The reason why you will become once again saddened is because you will realize more and more every day how much others around you are not realizing this that you've realized. And they are not masters, but subservient to all the slings and arrows that this world would throw at them. And you're going to have an intense amount of pity and sadness for those people. And you're going to become further saddened because now that you've corrected all the things in your life and you're working towards a great goal and you're achieving it, you will find that your seeing, your conscious heightening process cannot just be flicked on in another individual. They don't see it. They don't see the need for it. They don't even ask for it. They don't even want it. They wouldn't recognize it if they saw it. And your hopes for their help that will genuinely be growing in you, because you'll realize you're here for the purpose of all mankind, not just for yourself, will seem dashed. And you will feel helpless. You'll soon start to think, if you could make it through your life and have just touched a few people or given a little helping hand or laid a seed in someone's mind, that maybe they'll be helped one day even if you don't see it. Or maybe if you can just reach through and just really help one person, that's the most you can hope for. Because it's going to be really hard. And you're going to be sad because you're going to see all too late what you could have done that you didn't do. I don't know if you saw Schindler's List, but it's the best example of it. At the end of Schindler's List, Liam Neeson realized only too late how much more he could have done And when he realized how genuine it was, that that little inkling of what he knew he needed to do was even there, and how the people were so grateful, he realized, oh my gosh, what would have happened instead of an inkling if I had had a flood? How much more could I have done? By the time you get yourself where you need to be, it'll be time to die. You won't be able to do much more. But if you make this changeover, you'll be able to do so much, not only for others, but for yourself. But you won't always see the results because they're wallowing in the same place you are now. Even though you're showing signs of enlightenment, you're showing signs of coming above it, you're showing signs of real, true, positive hope to become heightened conscious. Many others aren't even showing any of those signs. Many others wouldn't even reach out, wouldn't even ask for help, wouldn't even care. The fact that you care is your greatest strength right now. The answers don't lie just in this list of things you care about, though. They lie way beyond that, way behind that. When you've gotten to this stage where you're saddened and you're hopeful and you're giving all and you know where you're needing to be is where you are, that's when you've arrived. Now, you'll never be done, even though you've arrived. But that is when you will be fishing for yourself. And that is when you'll be completely self-sufficient. This could happen today. This could happen tomorrow. This could take months or years. It's up to you. If you refuse to drop the guards and the facades that you have spent a lifetime building up, to not realizing that which I'm sharing to you, then your life course is going to be more difficult for you. I'll be there as a support mechanism if you want, but I'm not going to try to string you along and make it last longer. I'm going to try to get you there as fast as possible. And I'm telling you that everything you need to know is contained within the words that I'm telling you in this video right now. I can take it and try different ways and different words for you. I can take your sensibilities and get to know you better as a person. And each time I get to know you better as a person, I can touch on little tiny little things and maybe connect with you better. And I will do that if you want me to. But I already tell you right now all that you need. The question now is, how can I make my art convey and transfer to you so that my job is done and your job starts? That's the ultimate question. That's what I need to keep working with. And that's where you need to start. Now, very quickly on these things, because I have to go to exercise. My wife just came in the door and told me it's about time to leave. Actually, I'm not going to go quickly. I'm going to let you mull this over and know that another video will be forthcoming very shortly. I'm going to leave it right here with this. And then on the very next one, I'm going to go over each and every one of your 15 points and address those. But know that the next video is going to be so shallow, unless I can take and breathe depth into each one of those points. This is the video that if you only had with you on a deserted island, you'd watch over and over again. The next video is not. Alright, I've got to go exercise. Everything is balanced, my friend. I will talk to you shortly. I look forward to making the other video. Hopefully I'll put it together today. But spend some time thinking about these things in the meantime. And I won't send you off into a vacuum somewhere and say, oh, come back to me when you're ready. Because that's not what you want and that's not what you need. And so I'm going to keep on going over this with you. But you will have to have time to meditate as we go along. Meditate on this video first, what I've talked about here. And then I'll prepare the next video and we'll talk about the letter that you wrote and the needs and the scheduling. All right, I'll talk to you in a little bit.